Welcome to Desi Vibes podcast, brought to you by iMeUsWe, stories bringing you closer to the heart of India. Here, we dive into the vibrant stories of India's heritage, culture, and the personalities who shape it. Now, let's hand it over to Ben and Molly to take you on today's journey.
Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be exploring the world of Indian cricket through the lens of one very intriguing player, Mohammed Shami. Now, even if you're not glued to every cricket match, I think Shami's story has elements that'll resonate with anyone who admires dedication and overcoming challenges.
You know what fascinates me about Shami is this incredible contrast he embodies. On the field, you see this fierce competitor, all about raw power and intensity, but then off the field, he's much more reserved, almost quiet. So how does someone compartmentalize like that, and how does that play into his success? Those are some of the questions we'll be unpacking today.
Yeah, that duality really jumped out at me too when I was going through the research. It's like he's got this hidden switch, flipping between two distinct personalities. So to kick things off, let's rewind to his origins. Mohammed Shami was born on September 3rd, 1990, in Amroha, Uttar Pradesh. And I found this particularly interesting. His father was a farmer.
That's a detail that shouldn't be glossed over. I mean, to go from farming roots to representing India on the international cricket stage speaks volumes about his inherent drive. This wasn't a path paved for him. He had to forge it himself.
Absolutely. And talk about a trial by fire. His international debut was on January 6th, 2013, in an ODI against Pakistan. Can you imagine the pressure of facing your arch rivals in your very first match for your country?
It's almost like being thrown into the deep end of the pool and told to swim. For many, that kind of pressure would be crippling. But for Shami, it seems to have fueled him. He thrives in these high-stakes moments.
And he certainly didn't crumble under that pressure. He quickly cemented his spot in the Indian team. And he's known for delivering these game-changing spells. Now, for those not steeped in cricket lingo, a spell is basically when a bowler takes consecutive turns, and they're trying to demolish the opposing team's batting lineup. Think of it like a pitcher in baseball, who just can't miss the strike zone.
Exactly. And what makes Shami so formidable is his ability to deliver these match-winning spells across different formats of the game. We're talking test matches, ODIs, T20s. He's proven himself in all three. Now, for those who might be wondering why that's such a big deal, imagine a basketball player who's equally dominant in the NBA, the Olympics, and street ball. That kind of versatility is incredibly rare and valuable.
Okay, so he's got this killer instinct on the field. But before we dive into his stats, I'm curious about his signature bowling style. I've read that he can bowl at ridiculously high speeds and swing the ball in ways that just baffle batsmen.
It's truly remarkable. Imagine a pitcher throwing 95-mile-per-hour curveballs and sliders, but with even more movement and unpredictability. That's the kind of challenge Shami presents. He consistently bowls around 140 kilometers per hour, which is roughly 87 miles an hour. And he can swing the ball in both directions at that speed.
That's got to mess with a batter's head. It's not just about reacting. It's about trying to anticipate something that's almost impossible to predict.
Precisely. And to just illustrate how potent his pace can be, his fastest recorded delivery was a mind-blowing 153.2 kilometers per hour. That's almost 96 miles per hour. Unleashed that against Australia back in 2014.
Wow. That's faster than some cars on the highway.
So we've established that Shami is a force of nature on the field. And this is where his stats start to paint a really interesting picture. As of November 15th, 2023, he's played 64 test matches and taken a staggering 229 wickets. To put that in perspective, a wicket is like getting a batter out in baseball. So he's essentially responsible for ending the innings of 229 batsmen in test matches alone.
And what's even more impressive is that his best performance in a test match
Was taking 6 wickets for just 56 runs. That means he single-handedly dismantled a significant portion of the opposing team's batting lineup, preventing them from scoring many runs.
Yeah, that's like a pitcher striking out 6 batters in a row while barely giving up any hits. That's got to be demoralizing for the other team.
Absolutely. And we can't forget his accomplishment. In other formats, he's played 98 ODIs, taking 195 wickets, and 23 T20 internationals. With 24 wickets, the consistency across all these different forms of cricket is what makes him such a valuable asset to the Indian team.
It's like he's got this internal drive that never lets up, whether it's a 5-day test match or a fast-paced T20 game. But here's where things get really interesting, at least for me. We've talked about his on-field dominance, but what about the man behind the stats? What do we know about Mohammed Shami off the field?
That's where the contrast really comes into play. While he's known for his aggression and intensity on the field, off the field, he's described as incredibly reserved
Mm-hmm.
and private. It's almost like he sheds that on-field persona the moment he steps off the pitch.
I find that so intriguing. It's almost like he's got this ability to compartmentalize, to separate the warrior from the everyday man. It makes you wonder, what's going on in his head? How does he manage to switch between these two seemingly opposite personalities?
It's a question that has fascinated cricket fans and commentators alike. Some speculate that this duality is a key part of his success, allowing him to channel his energy and focus when it matters most, while also finding peace and balance away from the pressures of the game.
Yeah, it really makes you think about the mental game involved in being a top-level athlete, to be able to turn it on and off like that.
But this isn't just about psychology, right? Shami has had to overcome some pretty significant challenges off the field, hasn't he?
Yes, absolutely. He's faced personal difficulties. That, I think, would have derailed many. And while we respect his privacy and won't delve into specifics, I think acknowledging those struggles is important because it adds another layer to his resilience, to his ability to come back stronger.
It's almost like those challenges, rather than breaking him, have forged this even deeper determination within him. And you see this not just in his cricket career, but in his life off the field, too. We came across some information about his contributions to the community, and it really resonated with me. Yeah, what stands out to me is that it's not just about writing a check or making a public appearance. Shami has been actively involved in supporting local communities, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, providing food.
And essential supplies to those in need,
Yeah.
near his hometown.
Right, and there's this other side to him that I found really endearing. Apparently, he's a passionate advocate for animal welfare. I mean, that's not something you necessarily expect for a fast bowler known for his on-field aggression.
Before we move forward, let's take a moment to talk about iMeUsWe, an innovative Indian family app designed to help you preserve your family legacies and stories. With iMeUsWe, you can discover your roots, connect with relatives, and save your family's history for generations to come. It's more than just an app. It's a way to keep your legacy alive. Join iMeUsWe today. Now let's get back to the story.
It's a reminder that people are multifaceted, that the public persona we see often doesn't capture the full picture. And for Shami, those softer qualities, his compassion, his willingness to give back, those are all part of who he is too.
It's a good reminder for all of us, I think, to not judge a book by its cover. But okay, let's circle back to his cricketing achievements for a moment. We've talked about his stats, his playing style, but he's also earned some pretty high praise from some absolute legends of the game.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Virat Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar, Rohit Sharma. They've all spoken incredibly highly of Shami's skill, his work ethic, and his impact on the Indian team.
And I found this one quote from Sachin Tendulkar, particularly powerful. He said, "His contribution to the team has been remarkable. I admire his commitment and the way he has overcome challenges in his career."
That quote, to me, really gets to the heart of it. It's not just about talent, it's about character. And Shami have consistently demonstrated that he is both in abundance.
And that recognition has extended beyond words of praise, right? He's received some significant awards as well.
Yes, in 2023, he was awarded the Arjuna Award, which is one of India's highest sporting honors. It's a testament to his dedication, his achievements, and his contribution to Indian cricket.
And let's be real, being a top-level cricketer comes with its financial rewards too. His estimated net worth is around 50 crore Indian rupees, which translates to about $6 million US.
It's a reminder of the global reach and financial power of cricket. But what I find interesting is that even with all that success, all that fame and fortune, Shami seems to remain grounded.
Yeah, he doesn't flaunt it. From what we've gathered, he prioritizes his family, continues to hone his craft, and gives back to his community. It's like he's never lost sight of where he came from and what truly matters to him.
It's refreshing, honestly. In a world where we often see athletes caught up in the trappings of fame, Shami seems to have a different perspective, a quieter kind of confidence.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've explored Shami's journey, from humble beginnings to cricketing stardom, delved into his unique playing style, and even touched upon the challenges he's overcome. But I keep coming back to this idea of duality, the fiery competitor versus the reserved individual. It's such a compelling aspect of his story.
I agree. It's a thread that weaves its way through his entire narrative, and it's something I've pondered quite a bit as well. How does someone reconcile those seemingly opposite forces within themselves?
Right, and how does that play into his performance? Does it give him an edge?
That's where it gets truly fascinating. Because I think this duality is not a weakness, it's a strength. It allows him to compartmentalize, to focus his intensity on the field, and then to step back and find tranquility off the field.
So instead of being pulled in different directions, he's actually harnessing those contrasting energies to his advantage.
Precisely. It's like he's found a way to make those seemingly opposing forces work in harmony. And I think that's a lesson we can all learn from, even if we're not world-class athletes.
It's like he's unlocked this inner peace that lets him perform at his best when the pressure's on, and then step away and recharge when he needs to.
And that balance, I think, is what allows him to be so consistent year after year across different formats.
Yeah.
And in the face of all sorts of challenges.
It's a powerful reminder that strength isn't always about outward aggression. Sometimes it's about finding that inner stillness, that ability to navigate different aspects of yourself without letting one consume the other.
You know, makes you wonder if that ability to compartmentalize is something that's innate to him, or if it's something he's had to cultivate over time, especially given the pressures of being a high-profile athlete in India.
That's a great question. Is it nature or nurture? Maybe a bit of both. Perhaps he had a natural predisposition towards that kind of mental discipline, and then the demands of his career forced him to refine it even further.
It's fascinating to consider the role his upbringing might have played, coming from a humble background, where hard work and resilience are essential, might have instilled in him this grounded nature, this ability to stay focused amidst the whirlwind of professional sports.
Yeah, because let's face it, cricket in India isn't just a sport, it's a religion. The expectations, the scrutiny, the adulation, it can all be incredibly overwhelming. And yet Shami seems to navigate it all with a remarkable level of composure.
It's almost like he has this invisible shield that deflects the noise and allows him to stay true to himself. And I think that's what makes him such a compelling figure, both on and off the field.
Well, I think we've done a pretty deep dive here. We've explored Mohammed Shami's journey from humble beginnings to cricketing stardom, his unique playing style, his remarkable ability to perform under pressure, his personal challenges, his contributions to the community, and of course this intriguing duality that seems to be at the core of his success.
It's been a fascinating exploration, and I hope for our listener, even if they weren't a diehard cricket fan before, they've gained a new appreciation, not only for Shami's talent, but also his character.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the runs scored or the wickets taken. It's about the stories behind those achievements, the human spirit that drives them. And Mohammed Shami's story is one that I think we can all learn from.
Yeah, and if you're curious to see this duality in action, I highly recommend searching for some highlights of his bowling online. The sheer power and precision are something to behold.
Yes, you'll definitely want to see him in action. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Mohammed Shami, I'll leave you with this thought. We've talked about his ability to compartmentalize, but how does that translate to other areas of his life? Does it influence his relationships, his decision-making, his overall outlook? It's a question worth pondering. And as always, thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery.